everyone. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'm going to be looking at the book Kingdom by an artist that I've really been into lately, Jon McNaught. This is coming out from No Brow Press and is a beautiful production. Jon McNaught's someone that I stumbled across on Instagram, and then following his work led me to No Brow Press, and I haven't checked out any of their other books yet, but what I've seen online looks really impressive. A publisher I've never even heard of before. Huge catalog. I think they're operating out of the UK mostly, so I will definitely be getting a lot more No Brow Press books in the next year or however long, whenever I can. Checking out their other authors. I think Jon McNaught's probably one of their larger authors, but beautiful books, beautiful paper, beautiful printing. From what I saw online, a lot of their work that they're producing has this similar, very quiet, slow but fast almost type of aesthetic to it. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about Jon McNaught. Jon McNaught is doing something that I'm thinking about for my own work now. I'm always such a line-based guy, or have been for such a long time because of The Strange Death of Alex Raymond. Always working in pen and ink and cross-hatching. What I've been missing in my work is shape, and this work is all shape. I love that about this work. Not sure how it's made. I'm not sure if it's digital or if he's using a more old school process where he's like actually painting this out in black, and each sheet of black kind of tells the printer which colors to print. I'm not sure. I'm assuming it's digital. I'm hoping it's digital. Otherwise, this guy is a total nut job. Chris Ware paid compliment to this guy, and you can see why. There's a lot of that very slow. I say slow but quick because it's just like calm, quiet, but then it's like a lot of stuff packed in together, but not much is happening. Quality that you get in a Chris Ware comic. There's less. It's more linear than a Chris Ware comic for sure, but it has that quality to it. And I've always just loved comic pages with a ton of panels. I'm always coming back to musicality and rhythm in a lot of these books that I like, and this has that, and all the little ways that the panels break things up, but then like this lines up to this, so there's these compositional subdivisions elsewhere in the page that are very sophisticated. It gets a little cluttered. That's why I call it fast. It's like it's almost anxious to look at, but then the stories themselves are very slow, like unfolding just moment at a moment at a moment, things that normally I think this whole story is all the stuff that most people would skip over when they're telling a story. There's really no plot. It's a family going on vacation, and it's just this slow, meditative look at all of the things, that you would normally ignore. So a very stop and look at the clouds, stop and smell the roses type of approach to life. That's obviously what the artist is intending. He does it, as well as you could do it. And then from a personal standpoint, I really like stories like this. I think you could criticize a story like this in saying that it's not really much of a meal. There's so much content here, and there's so many shapes and so many panels, and it's all so overwhelming that it looks like it's a big meal. It looks like there's a lot to take in, and if you really slow down, and take as much as you can out of each panel, there is a lot there to chew on. But by the end of the book, it's kind of just a week in their vacation. There's no standard plot or anything that unfolds. There's no drama. There's a little bit of teenagers being teenagers playing with dead animals and stuff, but not a typical story. So in that sense, it feels very airy, very full of air and very light. And by the end of the book, I don't really feel like I came away with a lot. And so I think that could be a criticism of the work in some people's minds. But I really like personally, I really like comics like this, and he's obviously intending to make a comic like that, and pulls it off very well. The reason, I think the first book that I was ever exposed to that aesthetic in was The Walking Man by Jiro Taniguchi, and that influenced me so big. I've made a number of stories, and, you know, well, I shouldn't say a number. I've made some stories, but it's something I keep coming back to, like the storyless story. And I think in Japan there's a word for it. I would mess it up if I say it, but it means healing comics. And I think The Walking Man is the one that everyone would go to for that, where it is trying to slow you down and get you to just appreciate something, you know, appreciate a small thing and take a moment for yourself. And that's something that I keep coming back to in my own work, and Jon McNaught does that absolutely beautifully. There's a tendency, I think, to want to come away from books with like, oh man, it opened up my mind and I thought about the new world in a new way, or I got some big download of wisdom, or maybe think some big philosophical thought, or it had a huge emotional impact. I really like these books, and McNaught's an absolute master of it, where you just kind of slow down and like let all that go and just be they're zen in a way. This was my favorite page. I had to tag this. I absolutely love the color and the shape work here. I guess maybe because I, for a long time, had a big interest in photorealist painting, and one of the big tricks to prove that you're a badass if you're a photorealist painter is to paint a window where you see what's behind the window and what's reflecting on the window. And those usually get so overwhelmingly intricate in that style of painting. I'll go ahead and throw up one of those paintings right now. We'll take a look at it. And you can see just the absolute intricacy in this kind of art here. Overwhelming. So I often show students at the beginning of a semester, I say, you know, like, if I told any of you, like, do you think you could paint this by the end of the semester? They all think, like, it's in beginning drawing. I said, do you think you could produce this by the end of the semester? And they all look at me like I'm out of my mind. And then I ask them why, and it's like, well, what they come down to is it's just too much information. They don't know how to handle it. But really what it is, and what I love about this piece in Jon McNaught's book, is it's just a bunch of shapes. And in a lot of the photorealist stuff, it's very simple shapes. So if you can get the right shape in the right place and fill it in with the right color, you know, it's a very easy image. So it's almost an easy trick once you get it. And I love that the Jon McNaught stuff shows that trick simplified. So there's less colors and there's less shapes. And a lot of learning how to draw or paint well in a realistic sense is just learning how to take the overwhelming amount of shapes and come up with a system for kind of partitioning them off, simplifying, and then drilling down into the more complicated shapes, so that they all relate to each other in the right way. And that's, like, you know, a lot of what I teach when I teach drawing. So that all shows up for me very much in these panels, and I feel like I could show this to students and be like, okay, now that you've got the idea of shapes, do you think you could do this by the end of the semester? And probably more of them would say yeah than looking at the photorealist painting that we just looked at. So also just the color, the way he used color, the overlapping colors here. I absolutely love those two compositions and the colors throughout the page. I have read one more of his book. It's the same type of thing. I'm assuming that's a consistent aesthetic for Jon McNaught throughout all of his books. I will always and forevermore buy anything he does. I'm definitely going to be checking out more and more stuff from No Brow Press. Love also when he gets to these big pages, boom, impactful moment, you know, selling it. But any other recommendations of comics along these lines that you think I may not have seen, I would love to hear about them. Really look forward to seeing more work like this. Thanks for checking in. Take it away, Jack.
You want to see all these books? Smash that subscribe button and the like button and the bell, and then you get them.